What's going on, people? My name is Crazy Gaming. Welcome back to the Nerd Talk podcast, episode 9. Today I'm joined by two new guests, Sarah and Nick. And we have a special guest today with us. I'll let you introduce yourself if you want to.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Gibis, and I'm the voice of Shikamaru Nara on Naruto. And amongst other things, I do other voices as well. But that's the one I'm mainly known for.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. I think the English voice of Shikamaru is more known than the Japanese voice for Shikamaru, honestly. And I think so really that's I think that's awesome. So you've been doing Naruto since 2004, if I'm not mistaken, since Naruto came out.
Sounds about right.
In the West.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Sounds about right. Yeah. So you've been doing this for 17 years, which is crazy to think.
Yeah, 750 episodes. Plus the Boruto episodes, which go into that too, you know. So
yes.
So it's more like
right, so you said you want to talk about the entire TikTok thing because, like I told you, TikTok has a big place for anime and Naruto, especially. So do you go on TikTok yourself and like just watch people doing stuff in Naruto and maybe with Shikamaru yourself?
I just recently joined, like this week I joined. So basically what happened was, which I think is kind of interesting, is, you know, I've been on Instagram. I was hanging around like 1,000 followers. I would get little requests here and there every now and again. And then somebody asked me to do a voice thing. So, and it's real easy for me if I've got my phone and I'm in a quiet space, I just, you know, hit the button and whatever. And so they were asking me to say something. And there was one particular kid who asked me to say something kind of ridiculous, a little off color. So what I did is I said, you know what, I'm not going to say that. And then I said, I'm not going to say what he asked me to say, right? No way would I ever say da da da. And I'd fill it like, and it wasn't anything like too rude, but it's probably in hindsight, I went, I probably shouldn't have, because then all of a sudden I started getting this flood of requests and, you know, can you say this body part and that body part and silly things like that. And I was like, what is going on? Where are all these requests coming from? And so it turns out that it kind of blew up on TikTok. This person had taken that little thing I gave him, the little DM, and he put it on TikTok and it was just blowing up. So I started getting all these DMs and all of a sudden I couldn't keep up with them. Like it was just getting packed. My phone just says 99 plus, no matter what I do. I could sit there for an hour and just do, you know. So what I did was I went on Cameo, started a Cameo account. So if people really needed something, then they could get a hold of me and I could do something. And that's gone really well in this last week. But anyway, I jumped from like 1,200 followers on Instagram to over 8,000. I think I have 8,500 right now. And then the TikTok thing is going crazy. Like there's all these views and whatnot. Then somebody took one of the cameos I did and put that on TikTok. Now that one blew up huge, even bigger than the other one. So it's very strange. I don't know quite what to do with it all. I'm just trying to keep up, and it just kind of blew up. So it's kind of crazy, and we're riding this wave right now, you know, as we speak. So it's been kind of fun, and you know, you start off with, why did this guy share that thing, and then you realize, oh man, this is a good thing. If I wanted to go viral, I could have never planned it, right? I couldn't have, I would have said, oh, I'll do this thing and it'll be goofy. And
for sure.
3 views, you know.
Isn't that always the way though with things? You're like, oh, I'm gonna do this and it's gonna be super great, and people would totally ignore it, and then you're like, oh, I'll do this thing just for fun, and that's the thing that hits.
Right. Or I just completely unintentional, you know, somebody asked me to do something, I went, oh, okay, and I thought I'd have fun with it and say, look, I'm never gonna say this. And then of course it goes viral. So anyway,
for sure. Because I know right now on Cameo. Yeah, because I know on Cameo you had the voice of Naruto, Phil again. You had Yuri, the voice of Sasuke. You had your on-screen wife Tara was there as Tamari. I think Kabuto was there, Choji, Shino, and Stephanie Shea, which I had to give it to my girlfriend because she's a huge fan of Hinata, and she had so many tears when I asked Stephanie to attend with her. She was like literally flipping off. Like, oh my god, is that you? Because when she saw the message, she thought it was like one of my friends doing a prank on her. But then I wanted to show her a cameo account of Stephanie, and she was like, oh, that's real, and she started crying. So that was really amazing for Stephanie for herself. All right, we'll get to the questions. There's some questions for you. So I go for my first question. Okay. So what did you felt going into and coming out of the Asuma death arc, if you felt anything personally when that arc ended?
Well, the interesting thing about that is, well, I don't personally read the book, so I don't really know what's coming.
Okay.
And as far as like scripts, they'll call us up and they'll say, hey, we're doing 5 episodes. Can you come in and we'll start this arc? And, it might take us a couple of days to get through it. And you're like, great, good, book me for time. And so you go into the studio, and I've never seen the script, anything about it prior to, the director will say, okay, well, this is what's going to be happening. And so when it happens, it's happening to me in real time. I'm reading and going, oh no, this is not going to happen. No. And so in a way, that performance is sort of me reacting as the character, as him finding out this information. I didn't have a lot of time to go, oh, how would Shikamaru say that? What would he think? It was more like just respond to exactly what's happening in front of you. And I thought it turned out great, because I was just like, wait, are they going to kill this? Are they killing Asuma? Is this really happening? This isn't really happening, right? And so you go through all of the same things that the character is feeling, right? You just, all that same stuff is happening to me in real time. So I think it kind of helped in that case, because I couldn't really overthink it. That could be a bad thing.
True.
So
yeah, because right before he dies, right, he goes to Naruto, gives him like the source of doing the Rest again, which is gonna go kill Kaguzu. So we don't see a lot of Asuma, but right before he died, we see him giving a big hint to Naruto for his juice and everything. And you go and fight Kaguzu and Idan, and he died. And 2 episodes afterwards, your character talks to your dad, and when he says "let it all out," and I'm gonna say this, I think that was the first time I cried in Naruto. It's when your character starts crying after your dad says "let it all out."
Yeah.
That personally touched me so much, because you did that scene so good. I mean, that was amazing, honestly.
Well, I think incredible. The good thing about Shikamaru is, he's a tough guy, and he acts like he doesn't care, right? But he does care, which is kind of nice. I think people can relate to that, because there's that side of him where, absolutely, this is the way we all are. These are feelings that we all have, and we have to deal with them. And as opposed to him just going, whatever, and pouting, right? It actually comes out, and we get to see what he feels and how he takes that information in. So I really think it's a well-written show. And the character is so 3-dimensional. It's really nice to work on a show like that.
That particular part is so dimensional too, because you really get to see him go kind of through, where he does kind of just try at first to go, okay, it's fine, I'm okay. And then he really kind of breaks down. And then the scene with his dad, I mean, it just, I don't know when the last time was that I've cried like that at any anime, because it really,
thank you.
It felt like I was there, and it was something that was happening to people that I cared about.
Yeah.
And Anthony and I have talked kind of jokingly that I'm a particular fan of your voicing of Shikamaru versus the Japanese voice actor, who is also fantastic. I just feel like your voice is particularly suited for that character. I think it couldn't be better, I guess.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely perfect.
All right, so are you going to ask a question?
Sure. So I guess my question would be kind of just going back to kind of along the lines of, blowing up on TikTok and where things began. How did you get into voice acting? How long have you been doing it? And how did you get your start? And did you decide that you really wanted to do it first, or was it something that you just kind of started into?
Well, growing up, I always wanted to be an actor. So I grew up in West St. Paul, and there weren't actors in our neighborhood, Anyway, so that seemed like a silly job. Like nobody has that job. You just don't come from a suburb of St. Paul and, become this actor. What is that? We don't even know what to do with that. So for a little while, like in junior high, I decided I was going to be a forest ranger. And then I realized you need a lot of math to do forestry. It's a very math heavy career. And I went, well, if it's going to be, and you find out that the U.S. Forest Service only hires 2 people a year, and you go,
right.
I think I could make an actor. I could be, the odds
that might
are
actually
bad
be more feasible than the
so yeah, I did like community theater, and I did plays in school, and I would do all sorts of stuff. I then went to college for it. I did summer stock theater. I graduated from Minnesota State Mankato, and then I did an internship at the Children's Theater Company of Minneapolis, which is kind of a big, huge, almost a regional theater, like the Guthrie, which I worked at the Guthrie, and I worked at a place called Dudley Riggs Brave New Workshop, which is a little bit like Second City. It's a comedy, improv, writing theater, and a lot of fun. And so then over the years, I just did a little bit of commercials, a little bit of theater. I worked for Disney Cruise Line. I doing comedy, improv on board the ships, and I just did all sorts of stuff. And anyway, I ended up I did a national tour at one point, a theater tour, and I moved to LA. I decided to move to LA and try it out. And I did, I got some little parts on TV shows, and I did a couple little movie things. And I had a friend of mine actually that I worked on at the cruise ship. Her name is Melissa Peterman, who was on Reba, if you know that name. And she, her husband, John Brady, and I are good friends. And they have a friend, Jeff Nimoy. And John and Jeff go way back. They know each other. And Jeff Nimoy was the director on Digimon. So they were doing Digimon the movie. And anyway, I'd bug Jeff. I'd see him at a party and I go, hey, I think I got a voice for cartoons and doing anime. I'd love to do that, and I've done all this other acting stuff. And he was like, yeah, have you done dub before? And I was like, no, I haven't done dub. He goes, no, I can't use you. I can't use you. Can't. He goes, it takes too long to train people. It's really hard. And at that time, it really was hard because they don't have all the bells and whistles that they do now with the editing. And they can move stuff around. I mean, you had to get it right. Like you'd have a line and you might have to do it 30 times because it had to sync just correctly. And it would be like, it's like a half a second off. And it's a skill. And boy, you have to learn it. Anyway, so I bugged Jeff and he kept saying no. And then finally, I was talking to my friend John Brady, as I talked about before, and he goes, oh yeah, I'm going in to audition for Digimon the movie with Jeff Nimoy. And I was like, wait a minute, you don't have any dubbing experience.
Hey.
So I call up Jeff and I said, hey, what's the deal? You're bringing in Brady for this thing. And he goes, fine, I will let you audition. Fine. I was like, great. So I go down there, I audition. It's going really well in the audition. They're asking me all sorts of questions, and then they go, have you ever done dub before? And I said, sorry, I to be honest, I haven't. And basically what they said was, yeah, we can't really use you for this because this movie's kind of a bigger deal, and we need to, because of time, we don't have time to train somebody on this film. So, but you love your voice, so we'd love to put you in a couple of Digimon episodes and see how that works out. And so I did a couple Digimon episodes as Michael, I think his name is, sort of American cousin or something, as I recall. And I worked with Jeff, and he sort of got me up to speed. And then they had an opportunity. This was Saban Entertainment, and they said, we have a role. It's in a show called Shinzo, and the character is Mushra. And it's like a 30 episode arc thing, and we'd love to have you do it. So here's the deal. We're going to cast you for 3 episodes. If you're not up to speed in 3 episodes, we'll get somebody else. And so I was like, that's a lot of pressure, but I worked with this director, Michael Sorich, and he's a great boy. If you're going to learn how to do voiceover, Michael Sorich is the guy to learn from. He's so great, and he does a lot of stuff too. So, I mean, if you looked him up on IMDb, he's done a ton of character work and stuff in anime and cartoons, just in general. And anyway, real fun guy. He like almost too fun because we had too much fun in the booth, and we got to get these things done.
Yeah.
And anyway, third episode came by. Fourth episode came by. Fifth episode came by. I was like,
fired yet.
I guess I'm doing this then. So
Yes.
and so anyway, then just one thing sort of led to another, where I'd work with different people. Saban used me in a couple of things, and then I worked with some other people, and then they put me on their shows. And I never had an agent for voiceover, by the way.
Oh, that's
I've always gone, I should probably get one. I should really, but it's always been like somebody
about yourself.
somebody either, this is where the Shikamaru in me comes in, the lazy ninja. There's always somebody will recommend me, or I'll do a show that I worked with somebody, and then that inevitably they'll give me a call and say, will you audition for this? And that's what I do. So,
Cool.
And here we are today, 15 years later. I've also, in that time, I've done, a bunch of other little things, like I was the toy man in Justice League Adventures. I did
That's nice.
Kuranabi and the Iron Fortress, which is actually I think it's on Crunchyroll right now. That is, if you like zombies, it's a great.
I'll look for it.
show.
I do like zombies.
I play an engineer. The whole thing is
Oh.
it's this one train. There's a TV show, and there was based on a movie about like the train that just keeps rolling, even though
The Snowpiercer, right?
I'm sorry?
The Snowpiercer?
Yeah, Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
It's like Snowpiercer, and I don't know if maybe this came first, but we got to keep this train rolling. Humanity's falling apart. Zombies are coming everywhere. They're trying to, we stop in these little towns, try and collect people to get them on the train, and the train's got to just keep rolling. So my character is like, he plays an engineer, and he's sort of in it for himself guy. He's a little kind of Weasley. and he is literally, this train is leaving the station at 12:02, and if you're not on the train, I don't care. I'm leaving. And he just keeps this beast running. There's like 3 engineers on the train that keep it going. And then it turns out, of course, he cares more than he lets on, and he does go to extreme measures to put his own life at risk for other people, which it would seem he would not. But I think that's his facade, so that he doesn't have to, they don't ask him to do much.
Well, it sounds rad.
If you say you got a bad back, your friends are going to ask you to move,
No. It sounds really rad, though. I'm going to have to look for it because it sounds
Kuranabi, maybe I'm saying that wrong. And the Iron Fortress.
Iron Fortress.
I think it just was like last year it came out. We recorded some new episodes just recently, and I don't know if that's all out now, but it was on Crunchyroll. First, they just released it to DVD. I guess it was a big deal in Japan, and then they were like, "Why isn't this?" That part of the business, I have no idea. Like when things air, where they air, what's going on. But anyway, so I did Blue Dragon. I did Busu Rankin. I did, I don't know if any of these titles pop to anybody, but just a Prince of Tennis. That was kind of a big one on the internet for a while.
Oh yeah.
In the early days, I think, was that Crunchyroll? Maybe Viz Media just put it up directly.
Viz Media.
Yeah, and that was fun because it was just like a drama. It was just these kids on a tennis team in a high school. There was no magic. They were just, well, it might be like, I have my iron will serve, and it's like they would combat other tennis teams and play tennis. It was, I mean, it could have been a live action show, right? It could have been like a 90210 kind of a show. That's what it was.
Okay,
like, they all had problems, and this one liked that girl, and this girl liked this guy, and it's all that kind of stuff. So that was a lot of fun. I was kind of the spoiled rich kid in that one.
YouTube drama.
Yeah. So anyway, you can look it all up. It's all on.
All right.
IMDb.
All right, Nick, your turn to ask a question.
Okay. I'll go with the simple one. Who's your favorite Naruto villain, if you have one?
Well, I got to destroy Hidan, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm going to pick the ones I have the most experience with, right? I've had a little bit of experience with Orochimaru. Actually, I do like Orochimaru. because Steve Bloom plays him.
Steve Bloom.
I love Steve. Steve and I got to go to Australia and New Zealand together. Oh no, it was New Zealand. I went to Australia, he went to New Zealand. Then I met with them up in New Zealand. We did 2 comic conventions there.
Oh, okay.
And it was fun. I spent like a week with Steve Bloom. It was fun.
He's the voice of Dempsey in Call of Duty Zombies. I've been a fan for him for a really long time.
Yeah, he's like got the Guinness Book of World Records for being in more video games than anybody else. Yeah. And it continues to roll. Like they still use him for all this stuff. Yeah.
I mean, he has that big voice there, you know. So
he's got that really raspy, deep.
Right.
Yeah. See, I can't even get close.
He's got a good range too. He can kind of do this or that or sound like a totally.
He can yell. Really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Range.
If interesting, since we're talking about Steve, if you have interest in learning this craft, Steve does have classes. I think it's called Bloombox Video. I know they're a Facebook group, and I think they might be on Instagram. But look for Steve Bloom, and then look for, I think it's BLUM, by the way, not BLOOM. But he does these classes, and it's great. He gets real big people to come in and talk, and they do like seminars and sessions, and then they have like a community where you can say, hey, what's a good mic for somebody starting out? And then people just write their opinions, or say, hey, you should get this Shure mic, it's really awesome for what you're doing.
Great. I'm gonna look.
Okay.
So, and there's all sorts of tips and how to, what's a good warm up, what's a this or that, all the very, talk to other industry sort of professionals and get feedback. It's great. It's a really good program. I'm in the community thing, so like I can comment on if people have questions and stuff, but I don't teach with him and or anything, or he hasn't asked me yet. Who knows? Maybe he will.
All right, that's cool. All right, I have an interesting question too. What's something that the manga writer of just a showrunner of Naruto that
hasn't
happened to Shikamaru that you want to see happening with Shikamaru?
Well, see, we're already up to we're finally in Boruto. That's what I'm trying to say. Why I couldn't come up with that name. We're in Boruto now. I mean, it's fun. It'd be great to have a little more action with Shikamaru again, because it's almost like all I do is kind of start the mission and then wrap up. And let the new kids do all the fighting and the fun stuff. So might be fun to get him to get the writers. There's also a new book out called Shikamaru Stories. And there was a book out. It was like a couple of years ago that it was wasn't part of the. It's part of the canon, but it's not part of the animation. And it was like what happens with Shikamaru and Temari between Naruto Shippuden and Boruto. So it's like them kind of getting together, and I think at the end of it, I think they're married, and then they find out that they're going to have a child. So I think that's the end of that book. But it's like a little like filler, like what happened in those years. Between,
Oh, that's interesting.
Cool. I'm gonna look for that too, because
there's always more you can find about the character, but
all right. I got a side question to this. What, in your own opinion, what do you think would be a good death for Shikamaru if he would end up dying eventually? What do you think would be like a perfect death for the character?
Well, for Shikamaru, he would say, I want to walk out into a field, lay down on the grass, look at the clouds, and just let the world fade away. I have a massive seizure, which stops my heart, and that's it.
That'd be amazing. Last time and then done.
But as far as first of all, I want him to go as long as we can here.
No Shikamaru dying anytime soon.
But you get a Neji death or something like that. It's like, damn, they're never gonna forget you, right? So something big, heroic, went out with a blaze of glory, or doing something that he said he'd never do and then does for the team. And something like that.
All right, that'd be interesting. See, all right, sorry, your turn to ask a question.
So I guess my next question would be back to kind of voice stuff would be, do you have a favorite character that you've voiced? Is there somebody in particular that a project that you've worked on, either that the character was super great or that the experience was super great, other than Naruto, of course, because
Yeah. I mean, Naruto, obviously, because it's just been 15 years. So that,
Right.
knock on wood, it's been one of the best experiences as far as that goes, just as longevity goes. I'll tell you, when I did the Toy Man, it was great. It was a really fun experience, because it was a movie, right? It was a made for DVD thing, but we had all the villains in the room at the same time because it was the Legion of Doom. So it was like Toyman and Lex Luthor and Mantor and all these DC characters.
Yeah.
And we had this plot. We were going to go after the Justice League, right? So that was so much fun because everybody was in the room together. And I just felt like it was probably one of my best days. Like I was really on my stuff because I was making these guys laugh in the room. And that's always fun when you get an audience, right? And they were sort of chuckling and stuff, and I didn't know if they were like, "Oh, am I screwing something up?" I don't know. And then they were like, "Oh no, it's fine, it's fine." And they didn't ruin any takes or anything, but later they were saying like, "Oh my God, that was funny," and it was like, "Well, good." It's nice when your peers that you work with think that I'm a funny guy and that I'm doing a good job in this business. It makes you feel like, yeah, I'm supposed to be here. I'm just as good as, not just as good, but these guys are legends. I feel like, oh, I can be in this club. That's
Yeah.
So it was a really nice day, and I got a lot of really nice compliments. And I even had people that weren't in that session or that only had heard about that session. So that's how you know it's a really good compliment, because somebody says, "Oh, I heard you were just on fire the other day," and I was like, "What?" And it's like, yeah.
I was.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
Were you in the same room as Kevin Costner, the voice actor that voiced all of the Batman stuff?
Say that again.
Were you in the same room as Kevin, the actor that voiced so many Batman stuff since like the 90s?
I don't know. Does it say he was in that project with me?
I'm not sure, because I know Kevin Costner has voiced so many Batman for like 20 or something. Like everything was like
it could have been. I know there were like Liam O'Brien was there. It was all the villains in that thing. They brought all the villains in the same day because we had we had all these Legion of Doom characters in the same room. That was why we did it that way. So so there was like a board meeting, where Lex Luthor would say, "Here's the plan," and then each individual would say, "I don't think that's a good idea," and like Toyman would be like, "Oh, great, you're in charge."
Did you get the chance to work with Mark Hamill when you did the Justice League?
Sorry, say again.
Did you get a chance to work with Mark Hamill, the actor that voiced Joker?
No, not that I know of. Not it's like you're in a room with 10 people. I don't sometimes I know some of them because I've worked with them before, but most of the time, here's the thing of voiceover. Most of the time you're in the booth. I've met Robbie Reese, who plays Choji, twice.
Okay. Oh, really? Twice?
Twice. Wow. That's it. Now, Miley Flanagan, who plays Naruto, I run into her all the time, and I've known her for years. I knew her from the comedy scene in Minneapolis back in the day, and but for some reason her sessions get booked close to my sessions. This is all pre-COVID. Now that's like they have 3 hours between each session.
Yeah.
So you go in, you're all by yourself. The room.
No one can run into.
Yeah. But pre-COVID, you'd see Miley coming out, and I'd be going in, and it's a little of that. Or like Steve Bloom would be coming out, and I'd be coming in, and so there's a few of them. But for the most part, it's like I don't know.
Go alone and talk into your mic and record your piece, and then leave, and then you don't see it until it all goes together, and then you see where everyone's.
We did a WonderCon together. I don't do many of them, but we did it. It was like near the beginning of the show, like first or second season, where they got almost everybody to come down to do this. We had a 30-person panel. It was crazy. And so, yeah, that was a lot of fun. but you know, that was pre Akatsuki or any of the really
Yeah.
fun, cool
Oh, okay.
characters. Everybody seems to be into the Akatsuki. I'm just glad I killed some of them.
Well, I mean, you killing them pretty good. I
killed
think we can all agree with that.
them.
You did pretty good. Okay, I have a quick question. Did you get the habit of saying "what a drag" in real life after that line became such, I guess, like a meme or like just such a line that everybody knows from Naruto?
No, I don't think I say it too much in my regular day to day. You know,
I do.
what a drag.
What a drag.
No, I'm usually more of a, you know what they say, talk like a sailor.
Oh, okay.
When I'm
Yeah.
mad, you know, but I try and keep it clean. I go, you know, I should really not swear as much as I do, but saying drag wouldn't be appropriate. But, there was a kid that I recently chatted with online, and he was saying because I left him a little voice message. So he said, you know, everybody in my family is so annoyed that all I do is say "what a drag." So then my message was like, oh, what a drag that no one likes the fact that you walk around saying "what a drag" all day long. Nobody understands us.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's funny.
Made his day on that.
All right. I have another question. What's the difference? Because of course you did all the video games, which come out right now, I'm pretty
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
What's the difference between recording the video game? So let's say the Storm series, which are probably the most popular, and then when you do the show like Shippuden or Boruto.
Okay, well, first of all, in all of those games, most of them, I should say, there's like cutaway scenes, which are very similar to what was in the series, but they're not. We have to redo them completely. Like if you're doing the series and they say they do a flashback, they'll do a pull from like episode 212, right? They'll pull those voices if they can. Every once in a while, there's like new material. So it'll be a flashback of when like Shikamaru, Choji, and Naruto were 12. And it wasn't a scene that we saw back in episode 2 or 3, but they want to comment on something that happened in episode 2 or 3. So we have to go back in there. And then I got to remember how to do the early day voice, you know, like.
Okay, yeah.
Because Shikamaru's voice has kind of gotten raspier and raspier and raspier over the years. But what was the original question that we got going on this? What was what inspired I lost my train of thought there.
Oh, what was the difference between voicing the video games?
Right. So we have to
what's the
redo
difference
those
between voicing the
completely.
video game and the show?
Yeah, we have to redo those cutaway scenes completely. They're all redone for that. So even though you've done that scene before, you have to then do it again. And then what they do, it can be very complicated because you have to do all the pieces of the puzzle, right? So they'll do fighting scenes. Or they'll say, when you select my character, it'd be like, what a drag, you select me, you know, and then your character comes forward. They come up with like 5 or 6 different lines that could be said when the player selects your character. And then there's like, you have to do the jutsus and the shout outs, you know, shadow possession jutsu, shadow strangle jutsu, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And then there's then they have dialogue that's like you taunt people, and they try and have like 10 or 15 some different taunts, so it's not always the same thing. And and so it's just very methodical. You just kind of go through, and then the very last thing they do is because it's really hard on your voice, is they do all the fighting. And so they'll be like, okay, give us 3 punches to the face, you know, and you go, you know, and then they'll be like, okay, now small punches to the face. You know, and so you just do all that kind of stuff, and then they'll even some, if they don't think they want more or less or whatever, punch to the gut, you know, punch to the shoulder. This is like a death blow. And then we had to come up with all this dialogue about like if you're dying or defeated, and then or if you win the match or whatever has to happen. So they really break it down into all these different. So they're fun. They're usually take 1 day to do. They're pretty easy, and the money is pretty good.
So you like you said, let's say like the latest ones, like Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, the latest Storm game. How long did I take to record your entirely of that game?
For me, I think it was 1 day.
1 day. Okay, so it doesn't take that long.
One day.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever done 2 days on a video game. I might be wrong, but I think it was only.
Okay, okay. I thought it would take longer. All right.
There's
Sorry.
probably, I think there's probably 300 loops in that game that I had to do. But if you consider each attack as a loop, it's like,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. All right. Sorry, your turn to ask.
So generally, if you mentioned that you don't really see the scripts ahead of time, you kind of go and read fresh. Do you have any method of preparation that you make to go in and read? Like, do you try and get into character? Do you try and think back previous stuff? Like, how do you do going into kind of cold read, even though it's a character how do you kind of get yourself into the mode of, I'm going to be Shikamaru now and say whatever is in front of me?
Right. Well, I have played him so long, it's pretty easy to kind of improvise through it. But I also got to say, I think a skill that has really helped me a lot has been my improv training. I was doing improv comedy. I've taught improv comedy. That's what I did on the Disney Cruise Line. That's what I did at the Brave New Workshop. I've worked at Improv Olympic and all these other places. But be able to make decisions quick and, change your voice or whatever you need to do and just make a decision, stick with it, and commit to it, and then if it doesn't work, they can redirect you or whatever. It's also good that we've had really good directors on this show who know the show very well. So they can say, here's what's this is what's happening in this scene. And they sort of give you sort of this is the tone, this is what we want to do. Now, the third piece of that puzzle, which doesn't really help me too much, kind of, they show us the Japanese, right? So before you record your line, they give you a preview. Okay. And you watch the scene in Japanese, and you have the written script in front of you, but you just basically watch the scene, and you can almost, for me, I get more clues from the way it's drawn, his face. Okay. Because the Japanese voice seems he plays, if you think Shikamaru's like monotone, the Japanese guy is very monotone. So, and then sometimes, the face is like going like all googly, and then the voice is like, yeah. No offense, this is what it sounds like in my ear.
No, not at all. He has a very flat voice.
But, and you're like, well, wait a minute. He's got big eyes. He's goofy. He's saying, what did you do, Naruto? Right. So I might then say that as, what did you do, Naruto? Instead of playing it, what did you do, Naruto? Because the face is going crazy, So I don't speak Japanese, so I find that he doesn't necessarily clue me in too much, but he kind of does with maybe a little bit with tone. Like, Shikamaru's really upset on this, or he's really serious. You can kind of tell there's a change in the voice. So that helps a little bit, but basically the visual helps the most. And then the director actually helps the most, and then the script, and then you see it on camera doing it. So kind of an advantage.
All right. Okay. Who was your favorite voice actor to do lines with on the show?
Well, I've never worked with anybody directly on the show. We all record separately, alone, in a little room.
Okay. Well, let me reiterate that question. What's your favorite conversation that you can remember top of your head on the show with Shikamaru and another character?
Well, if it's straight up conversation, Asuma and Shikamaru have had a lot of conversations. So the playing shogi and go and stuff, and then Shikamaru and his dad, obviously, those are conversations he's had quite a few of. In Boruto, I have a lot of conversations with Naruto, which is kind of fun. And that's always fun because I know Miley, so we're either I get to record first or she gets to record first.
Okay.
Yeah. And, it's nice when you run into somebody and she goes, hey, you sounded great in that last episode. You know what I mean? And I do the same thing with her. I remember in the early days of the lockdown, she had been recording from home. And then I had an opportunity where I could actually go into the studio, partly because I got a little closet set up here. It's pretty good, but it's not great.
Okay.
And I just bought a new mic, but at the time when it first happened, I didn't really have it set up the way it needed to be set up for
Oh.
them. So they said, well, you come in, we've got all these fail safes, and I had to go get a COVID test and the whole thing.
Oh.
And so I went in, but I could hear Miley, and I go, she recorded that at home? It sounds awesome. So I actually called her up and said, man, your home setup sounds great. I got to tell you, I heard it on the playback. It's fantastic. So that's kind of nice. It's nice to have that where I can kind of,
Okay, yeah, for sure, yeah. Now, I don't know if you remember that, but like, what's your personal favorite scene that you did with Shikamaru?
Well, that heat-on battle is pretty good.
Yeah.
So good.
He's, there's so many great scenes, right? Like the
Yeah.
Tamari battle in the first season, or not season of probably fourth season.
Yeah, fourth season.
Was it the Juning, or was it
exam.
Juning exams, where he takes her right to the end and then says, "I quit."
Oh my God! Yes, and Shikamaru ends up doing it too. That was hilarious.
And I was like, that's brilliant.
It's
Brilliant.
such a
And then he
Shikamaru
gets promoted. Nobody else gets promoted.
No one but
And they're
Shikamaru.
so mad, and everybody hated him. I love that. I love that whole series. And then, the trying to get Sasuke back. Remember when he was?
The Sasuke arc, yes.
He went. Was it the Sound people? They were the Sound
Yeah,
Village.
the Sound
Yes.
Village.
Told him for Orochimaru,
Yep.
and he was in that. And we tried to get him back, and almost everybody got hurt. And there's a great scene at the hospital when we come back where basically Shikamaru failed. There's a great scene where I'm putting that group together and to say, like, I never liked Sasuke much, but he's a member of the Hidden Leaf
Oh
Village.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great speech. That was fun. And
Yeah.
and then there was that whole, remember when Naruto was in the hospital and I went to visit him and Gaara was going to kill Naruto.
Oh yes.
And I had to bluff him into leaving.
Oh yes.
I think it was me. I want to say Rock Lee, but maybe it was Choji and I were up there at the same. Oh, maybe it was Sakura. But I can't. It's so long ago, I can't remember. But I remember we had to kind of bluff him into thinking that I was more powerful than I was, and I could stop it. And then he backed off and left. Now he's my brother-in-law. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's funny. I have to say, my personal favorite scene for Shikamaru, like I told you on Instagram, is when you almost die in a ninja war, and you see that entire
that was,
life, like
I have to live so that Naruto could be Hokage.
yes, that
Talk about the best justification for staying alive.
Yeah,
For that guy.
yeah, for sure.
This kid needs help. He's gonna screw it up.
Yeah, he's gonna screw it up. Yeah. Quick question. What was your reaction to your dad's dad in the show?
I'm sorry. Say again.
What was your reaction to Shikadai dads in the show? To your dads?
I don't remember the scene specifically. So
basically you're on a battlefield and the 10 tells about to shoot a tail beast bomb.
But I mean it was so quick. I don't think we spent a lot of time on it because there was so much stuff going on. So I mean, I guess that would have been more stuff that was felt off screen. He might have been like stopped for a moment and went, I don't have time to more. Going, so it's tough because he had that weird relationship with his dad where early on he thought his dad was kind of a joke, and then he realized that his dad was a lot cooler than he thought he was. I mean, and in a way, isn't that beautiful the way the show is written? Because when you think about it, we grow up, and when we're little, dad's a superhero, can't do anything.
Yeah.
Then you become a teenager and dad's an idiot and doesn't know anything. And then if you're lucky in your life, you kind of come around again and see like, hey, dad's a pretty good guy, And I'm talking even the people with the best relationships have a little bit of that. Oh, yeah. And then some of the people that have bad relationships, it's really bad. So it does, it's awful. But that's why it's such a good show, because I think it really tapped into what's kind of real and how we feel, and the way kids do that. Just they're awful when they're teenagers. Because they're learning, they're learning like, oh, I should be kind to people. I should be better to people, and then you realize your mom and dad are doing the best they can. So cut them a break.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
hopefully when you're an adult, you have a great relationship with your parents.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of what was Shikamaru's arc as well.
Mhm.
And I think he ended up really respecting his dad in the end.
Mhm.
But early on, I do remember him being like, and his mom too, which
Oh my
that's
God,
where, that's where
yes.
I think that's where the show fails a little bit, because some of the women, it's like they're very two-dimensional. All she
Yeah.
was nagging them all the time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of harsh.
I mean, that's pretty much what Tomorrow is doing Shikamaru right now with Shikamaru, honestly. So, like, I guess Shikamaru's saying that again with Tomorrow, like he said with his mother.
Yeah, people ask me, what do you think of Tamari? And I'm like, she's doing great, because she's got, loaf around Shikamaru, and then Shikadai's giving her the same attitude. It's like Shikamaru needs to step up his game. He is not, he's a good dad, but he could be a great dad. And he could, I think as far as his relationship, he needs to work a little more.
Kind of like that scene where you both say what a dragon at the same time. I think that was the scene I laughed the most in Boruto. Like that scene made me laugh so hard.
I'm sorry, say it one more time. What scene was it?
That scene when you both say what a dragon at the same time. With
yeah.
That's probably when I laughed the most. Like I kind of laughed.
Comic effect, she hits us either with the fan, or she's always sneaking up behind him and giving him up, which as long as people know the context is comedy there,
right?
And not some kind of abusive household that we live in.
Oh, who knew Tomorrow was like that? Honestly, yeah.
All right, so you got to cut her some slack. Nobody in that household listens to her.
I mean,
anything. No one
she's
wants
doing.
to actually
She's doing it all. She is raising 2 children. Shikamaru and Shikadai.
Pretty much. Sorry, your turn.
I guess my next question would be, I would say, real world continuity doesn't exist. You can work on any project, past, present, or future. What would be your kind of dream role or dream project to work on?
I wish I could have been a part of like Ghost in the Shell.
That was good.
I wish I could have been part of Cowboy Bebop. I was around that time, and I remember seeing it, and I just, you kind of wish, I wish I would have knocked on a door and just said, hey, is there a role for me in this?
I try.
And then you kind of think it's going to happen, and they don't really come up with anything for you, but it's like, oh, okay, well, I missed out on that one. That would have been a cool one to be part of.
Those were the shows that got me into anime, because I'm a lot.
They're really good shows to get you into anime too.
Yeah,
especially Cowboy Bebop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's for sure. So except for like Naruto, what's a franchise that you really, really, really enjoy? Like outside of the anime genre.
Just in anime?
No, outside of the anime.
Outside of anime. Well, I'm well versed in the world of nerddom.
Okay.
I like Star Trek. I've been a huge Star Wars fan for a long time, although I'm hypercritical, so don't get me started. I love it so much, I hate it. The Mandalorian is awesome. I will say that. I think they really did a good job with that.
Pedro Pascal killed it.
And I love Doctor Who. I love Star. This is all stuff I watch. Doctor Who, Star Trek Discovery. It was on. They aired it on regular television over the pandemic, and I was like, this is a freaking great show. And here I thought it was just they put it on the internet. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was trying. My dad and I used to watch Star Trek when I was a kid, and so he's in his 80s now. And I said, hey, Dad, they're showing Star Trek on TV again. You should really watch this. I think you'd like it. And he's like, where is it? What time is it on? So I don't know if he ever caught an episode, but I was trying to explain it to him. He seemed to, he liked a lot of the storylines connected with the old Star Trek,
Yeah.
So he thought that was great. So anyway, so I'm well versed in a lot of that stuff.
All right. Have you seen Pickard with Patrick Stewart?
No, I want to see it.
It is really, really good.
An old friend of mine from college is his stunt double.
Oh,
so there
nice.
you go. I have a connection. I should go watch
You should.
Tim's work in that. So
Oh, that's interesting. All right. You say you're a big Star Wars fan. I want to ask you this, and I know this is very controversial, but do you think it was a good thing or a bad thing that Disney bought Lucasfilm? In your own opinion.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody can do more damage to the Star Wars franchise than George Lucas. So have at it, Disney. But on the other hand, until Mandalorian, I might have said it was a bad move.
Yeah.
But because they're going to milk this cow till it's dead.
That's what Disney does, though. I mean, that's Disney.
Yeah. And like I say, by the end of it, you're going to be like, ugh, Star Wars,
Yeah, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni literally did save the Star Wars from those movies that came before, honestly.
But that Mandalorian, man, that Baby Yoda, that.
Oh my God, that thing becomes such a big.
That turned it all around. Like it made me love Star Wars again. Like love it.
I think we have like six Grogus in my house or something floating around. We've got like little stuffed one, and then little stuffed one with feet, and then little stuffed one with like a beanbag in the bottom, and then a bigger stuffed one with a hard head, one with a soft head. Very popular with my.
I don't call him by his name because they didn't name him for so long.
I know.
But they named him Baby Yoda.
We all got used to Baby Yoda.
Then he's Baby Yoda. That's what he is.
Yep. Yeah, and then mid season 2, they're like Roku. There we go. Here's the name.
Grogu. What?
Then I go, Grogu? Really? It's not even cute name.
It's not cute.
Exactly. It's random. I don't know who chose the name of Grogu. I feel probably it's Jon Favreau, but no, that was really hilarious.
Probably. But that's another reason why I call him Baby Yoda. I'm gonna stick to that.
Yeah, it is a weird name, honestly.
Plus, everybody knows what you're talking about if you say Baby Yoda. If you say Grogu, they may or may not know.
Yeah.
Or they'd be like, "Oh yeah, Baby Yoda."
Yeah, because Baby Yoda was like, even if you didn't watch Star Wars, like in 2019, everybody knew who Baby Yoda was because he became such a meme really fast. Yeah, like he was the biggest meme on earth, and still is.
It was the cutest thing they ever built.
Oh yeah, for sure. The first time you see this face,
it's really. Just to wrap this up, I also like Walking Dead. Other series.
I'm a big fan too, man.
Walking Dead is, and we've been. My friend Mo Collins is in Fear the Walking Dead, and she and I used to do comedy with Miley Flanagan in Minneapolis.
Oh, that's interesting.
So there you go.
It's really great.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this. I started watching Walking Dead in 2010 when I was 10 years old, and God.
I need to talk with your parents.
Right? 10 years old and Walking Dead.
No, it's my mom.
My son's 11. He's never seen Walking Dead, and he won't for a little while.
I'm the same age as the actor that plays Carl. What's his name again? Forget his name.
Carl. Yeah.
Well,
Carl shouldn't have been in any.
No. Yeah. So I was thinking just so when I started watching in 2010, he was the same age as me, and as I grew up, he was growing up the same age as me. Yeah. So spoiler alert if you haven't watched Walking Dead, but when he on screen, I felt something personal because I felt this guy going through his journey from a little guy to just
you could relate to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you could relate to it, and then you realize how much life you have ahead of you and how much life you had experienced, and you realize, boy, this kid lost everything. It gives it more of a punch, and I guess that's really good that you were watching it from that age. Then that's the good side of it. Yeah. Because hopefully you then appreciate what you have, and that zombies aren't trying to break down your door right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's are you excited for the? I don't know if you heard about it, but about the Rick Grimes movie that are coming out. I think there's could be 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Say one more time.
Are you excited for the Rick Grimes movie that are coming out?
Oh, the Rick Grimes. Yeah. You think they're going to be in the movie theater? I'm sorry. I don't know if they. Is that going to be like an AMC movie, movie?
Yeah.
Movie?
I just knew that Angel, I just heard that he was going to do, the movies. I don't think they're going to be in theaters. I think they'll be on AMC because,
sometimes they call them movies just because they're long form. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be, and these days, everything's been
direct release.
Disney Plus or Netflix.
Yeah.
Go straight
HBO too.
Yeah, I think I watched Wonder Woman on HBO Max came out.
Yeah, HBO Max. I've used it the new Justice League.
Oh, and Godzilla versus Kong. We watched
Oh,
that.
that was
Oh.
amazing.
Which I'm sure would have been much better on a big screen, but I mean, we had
Yeah,
a,
in 3D.
we have a
Yeah.
pretty big screen.
Kaiju are always better on a big screen.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
There's not much to those movies.
No.
Yeah.
It's just
Big
No.
monsters in action.
bash
That's what you
things
need
and-
a big screen for.
No, but talking about it really quick, I think that Godzilla versus Kong was like a really good movie. I think they really kill it with the with ending that movie franchise or built the I guess the remake of the old movies.
Yeah, to me, it's you can take this both ways. My review of the movie was it still retains all the charm of a man running around in a rubber suit.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
So-
for sure.
Gotta have
You can
that.
say that's a negative, but
Nope.
it's also kind of a
It's not.
positive
For
because
Godzilla, you just can't have over
Yeah, sure.
effects and really great, seamless blending of the CGI and all that. You want to
Yeah,
think a little
yeah.
bit.
well, the way Kong like fights like a pro fighter, he's just like throwing roundhouses.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
uppercuts.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on? You know what? Here's the other thing. This is very funny. Kong is a gorilla. He doesn't use his feet. He should be grappling with
Yeah.
his feet and his arms and the whole
That's
thing. And I was
true.
like, that's
Mhm.
because it's a guy in a motion capture suit
Yeah.
fighting another guy in a motion capture suit that's been choreographed. And if it
Yeah.
was a gorilla in a capture suit, he would have ripped off his head with his feet.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have finger toes after all.
Yeah, they do. They
I mean,
really do.
you're,
Yeah.
you're missing a whole muscle group that could be helping Kong in this battle. It's like that. Anyway, that's what's fun about it. Is it's just cheesy enough
Mhm.
that it's fun.
Yeah, it's a
And
fun
when
movie.
you think about it, like what was the girl from Stranger Things? What was her story?
Millie Bobby
Why
Brown.
was she in the movie? Those three didn't really add anything to the plot. We just had to worry about were they going to get killed? Were they going to get caught? I
Yeah,
guess
exactly.
it was a weird way to do some exposition, I guess, but I don't
Engagement.
know.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Let the big monsters fight.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't fight. Are you a fan of comic book movie? Because you said you were a nerd yourself.
Oh, I love the Marvel universe for sure. I'm not a big fan of the DC universe, unfortunately. I still haven't watched
I
the
think I
Zack
agree with
Snyder 4-hour Justice League
I haven't
because I
either.
barely got through the first one time.
Yeah.
The first one was they missed the spot with the 2017 Justice League. They really did. Yeah.
I just feel like there's something in the DC universe that's missing that the Marvel universes seem to capture.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know what that is. Marvel's just, it seems like every move they made was correct. And again,
Yeah.
it's Jon Favreau, which I've always kind of not really been a big fan, but then I go, he's making all the right moves. So I don't know what to say about that.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
think it is personally from my perspective is I think he's really good at creating dynamic environments.
Yes.
Yeah.
He can create a great character, but he can also put that character into a really good environment where you really get to see kind of what that character is made of, but without a lot of like monologuing or,
Correct. Correct.
I act this way because when I was 5 years old, I'm going to tell you a story for an hour. It's more of, they're going to show you kind of what the character
Right.
is like and introduce situations where you get to know the character without having to kind of stop the action monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes for his
Let me tell
mental,
you
like
something.
what he did with Mandalorian. I mean, that's a good
Mhm.
example right there. Like he created
Yeah.
Mandalorian, and that's a lot of people's favorite Star Wars stuff from Disney.
Mhm.
Well, and here's a little secret. Maybe it applies to Mandalorian too. Here's a little theory of mine. DC is failing because they're using Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. That's all their top box office. Those are their big names.
Yeah,
You screw up that, you screw up a whole fan base, right?
Right.
yeah,
And now I've got to take you back in time. When Iron Man came out, Iron Man's not a first tier character.
No?
exactly. He was not
Iron
popular.
Man, Thor, Captain America, they're second tier characters.
Yeah,
Right. And Marvel had already experimented with Hulk. They
Mhm.
already experimented with Spider-Man several times, and which
yeah.
was successful. But even when you think of those Spider movies, it's nothing like what we have now.
No.
Right.
No.
So they kind of blew their wad early. They did a bad Daredevil. They did a bad, a mediocre Spider-Man. It made money. I'm not going to, three of them. They tried to reinvent it four
Yeah.
times. But they took their set. I think when it got to Iron Man, they said, does anybody care about Iron Man? And they let them run with it. Now, the
Mhm.
other thing is how many fans, there's some really hardcore Iron Man fans,
Mhm.
but for the
Yes.
most of the part, everybody kind of knew a little bit about Iron Man. We didn't know the
Yeah.
whole thing. So if they screwed it up, we didn't, I don't know. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy is perfect with that, right? Here's
Yeah.
nobody knew anything.
one's heard
Just
it.
hardcore
Nobody.
fans knew about it.
Yeah.
And I remember when that comic was out, and I went, Rocket Raccoon? That's the dumbest,
There's Ascension.
dumbest thing I've ever
Oh,
heard of. But
okay.
it works. I
Mhm.
mean, they let him go with that. They took a franchise that nobody heard of, not nobody,
Exactly,
but you know,
yeah, that's true.
most people didn't ever hear of or heard of it as like a trivia question,
Mhm.
right? And they just let him have it. And how many people now are just in love with Groot and in love with
Oh,
Drax
yeah.
and in love with Star-Lord? And the beautiful thing about that movie is they allowed them to make fun of the names. You know,
Mhm.
your name is Laserface?
Or when he's, you know, he's like,
Star-Lord.
"Oh, everybody calls me Star
You want
Lord."
us to call you Star-Lord? You know, like,
Who calls you that?
yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's
other
true.
thing that Marvel did really well is they started off very serious. If you
Mhm.
think about it, Iron Man is really an action movie.
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
of the Captain America movies are literally
Seriously.
like you know, Born Identity movies, right?
Mhm.
The Matt
Yeah,
Damon
yeah.
films. That they take it very serious, and it's just it's intrigue, it's spy game, it's that kind of thing, and so it's great, right? Iron Man, you're not building in that these are freaks from outer space or they have
Yeah.
superpowers, you know. Iron Man made a suit, right? It's basically a action movie about a guy who made a weapon,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so it really works. And then they found their sense of humor. So if you think
Yeah.
about Thor, Thor is a stick in the mud
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
That's like Mr. Boring, good looking, and I'm here and I'm Thor, and
Yeah.
you know.
The
And
God
by
of
the end,
Thunder.
he is the funniest character in the series because he maintains that sort of
The straight
naive,
man.
you know, yeah, and
Perfect
they just
straight
make fun of it all
Yep.
around him, right? Hey, I know that guy from work, you know.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, that was such a good scene. That was improvised, by the way. I don't know if you know about this. When they were filming that scene in Ragnarok, a kid that was really sick at the time went to the studio. They were filming Ragnarok, and he said, "If you would sit, that would be awesome." And then they took that line, and that became probably the most recognized line from the movie.
Yeah, it's fun, right? They
Mhm.
they figured out how to make Thor funny, and then like even in
Yeah.
Endgame when he was so upset that he killed
Oh my god.
Thanos and he didn't know what to deal with it. His planet is gone. He drinks beer and
Yeah.
he's yelling at the kid on the Xbox. You know, it's like
No, and oh my god.
He's all of us
Oh my
in
God.
quarantine.
it's beautiful,
Yeah.
right? It just becomes this. They keep developing these characters, and it's just like Ragnarok was just so much fun. Just
It's one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
Ragnarok saved the whole trilogy for sure. They really
Yeah.
did.
So anyway, I just think they made so many good moves there. DC, I feel like because they're using their heavy hitters, people expect too much from
Yeah.
Superman. People expect too much from
Mhm.
Batman. Come on. And in a way, it's like you're already, when you decide you're going to make a Batman movie, you know, you've got fan base that likes Michael Keaton. You got a fan base that likes, you know, George Clooney. Well, not very many people like
Five.
Simple.
Val Kilmer. And you have a fan base that loves Adam West.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Adam
So
West.
you're-
That's the
Batman.
OG.
You better be better than all of those guys on their best day, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's tough stepping into those bat shoes, you know?
But the thing is, I don't know if you agree with me, but for me personally, my favorite Batman has always been Christian Bale. I think the Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh yeah, he was good.
So
He was good.
Christopher Nolan killed it with that trilogy.
Yes,
you know?
those three movies are. He had good villains to work off of.
Oh, Heath Ledger.
The ones I really hated where they got too cartoony. The Jim Carrey as the Riddler and
Yeah, that was.
Tommy Lee Jones, and then they just became like, let's add 5 villains into this movie. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah,
Here's
way
the
too much.
Penguin. Here's the
Yeah.
Joker. Here's Two-Face. All at
Right.
once. It's everybody. Fight all of them.
What's funny is those movies start off where we're going to take Batman very serious. That was
Yeah.
the first Michael.
That's,
Keaton one.
yeah.
And then when they make the remakes, they end up becoming the 1966 television version by the end, right? So they
Yeah.
start off serious and they just devolve into the goofiest shark
Yeah.
repellent on your belt.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Wearing
Uh,
surfing, wearing, you know, tights over your tights, kind of
Yeah.
goofiness.
yeah, yeah. What's your favorite?
Which that one was supposed to be funny. That was the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
I'm interested now. What's your favorite movie in the MCU? Now you said you're a big fan of Marvel.
I love those Guardians of the Galaxy, I'll tell you. I guess I'd have to go with them. I think the first one's just funny
It
as
was
all,
so
and
good.
like I
Oh
said,
yeah,
I didn't
the
know really
soundtrack
much
too.
about him.
The
And
soundtrack
Iron
too was
Man, the
amazing.
first Iron Man's fantastic.
Mhm.
I like all the like Winter Soldier, Civil War, all those. I think
Yeah.
those were great. Black Panther's awesome. I mean, there's so many really
So
good
many good
movies.
ones.
It's like trying to pick your favorite Pixar movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay,
I
yeah,
love the
that's-
first Captain America, but I kind of hated the ending. I felt like they rushed it at the end.
They did.
Yeah,
I,
I mean,
loved-
just
I wanted to see a whole nother movie about him in World War II
Mhm.
with the other guys that he had, the
Yep.
troop that he put together. I thought that would have been
Yeah.
fun. But
We need like a Captain America 1.5 where we get to
Yeah.
see like what took place between the first one and the second
it
one.
seemed like they were
Yeah.
building that, right? Because they
Yeah.
had the radio guy, the guy with the big handlebar mustache and the
Mhm.
bowler.
Yeah.
and, you know, he had, oh yeah, Dum Dum something was his name.
Yeah, but I can't remember his last
Dum
name.
Dum Donald.
Picture
or
him, but I can't remember.
Donald.
yeah. Was that the French guy?
No, he was I think he was an English guy. But
Oh, okay.
anyway, I wanted to see that team, and that's like the best
Yeah.
part of Wonder Woman, first Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah,
The World War One team that the
Yeah.
Native American guy and
Yep.
the what was it, the French
Yeah.
guy, and you know, like that
Yeah.
was great. I wanted to see more of them
Yeah.
doing their thing.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, your turn. That's our first question.
So since we're now definitely off Naruto topic and you mentioned Doctor
We're
Who.
way off topic.
Doctor Who is my Star Wars, like you mentioned that you grew up watching with your dad. My dad is also in his 80s, and I grew up watching Doctor Who with him.
Wow, you watch old Who, Tom Baker
Yes.
Who?
We watched. I mean, I've watched from the very first Doctor in black and white all the
Oh,
way up
wow.
to the current Doctor now.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
not
That-
seen all
that-
of them, but
I
I've
have
seen some of
tried
them.
so hard to watch that first episode, and it's like just those first ones. It's hard because the pace is so slow compared to what we're used to now.
Well, the
And you
whole-
kind of already know what's going on. So you're like, the mystery isn't there. It's
Right.
like,
But
yeah.
I mean, I can
Anyway,
remember,
sorry.
I
I
can
didn't mean
remember
to interrupt.
sitting at home, you know, watching the Daleks roll down the black and white hallway and just how
Exterminate.
terrifying it was on a visceral level that you have like essentially a rolling trash can with a node sticking out the front that can be that viscerally frightening, where you just feel like I'm going to have a nightmare about this. So who is your favorite Doctor? Who have you enjoyed watching be the Doctor the most? Which one?
Well, of the new Doctors, I'll say Tennant. I like
Me-
David Tennant the best.
Fantastic.
And as far as the old Doctors, Tom Baker was the first one I was introduced to. And I kind of think that's what people do usually.
I think so too.
Whoever's your first Doctor, that's the one you kind of hook onto. And then you go, who's this, you know, Petrie guy? I don't know.
Yeah.
What's with the old car? I don't know. You know,
Yeah, when
I don't
came
like
back
this.
when it was Eccleston, I really liked his portrayal, but he just didn't do it long enough that I felt like
It's stuck. Yeah.
we developed a real relationship with his Doctor. Like I really liked his
He was a
and
little
Rose's.
goofy. He was a little
dynamic.
goofy, as I recall. Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of like a street thug, but silly.
Yeah.
Too,
Yeah.
in a funny kind of way where he could be like kind of badass, but also kind of like
Yeah.
and then
I think what's really interesting,
just
and
really-
you'll probably back me up on this, is they start with a Doctor. They do, you know, well, he only did it one season. Then they went to David Tennant, and then they went to Matt,
Mhm.
which I'm forgetting his last name. But
Smith.
everybody kind of was like in the beginning, oh, Matt, what's this young guy?
I hated him.
I hate him. He's
I
awesome.
hated
By the
him.
time he's done, you're like, where's
Uh-huh.
Matt? What's this
Yeah.
new guy? I don't know what the.
Peter
And by the-
Capaldi, no.
but it's almost like the wave is like a whiplash that you know. So when the next Doctor starts up, they'll be going, oh, Jodie would have done that so much better. You
Uh-huh.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really did. When they went to Matt Smith, I watched like 2 episodes and I was like, I'm gonna quit watching this. I can't stand this guy. He's this weird, dorky young guy that has this totally weird delivery. And also I liked Tenet so much that I think
Yeah,
it
he
would
was
have been
so
hard for
good.
me to accept anyone next. And so I think that was kind of what I came to with Matt Smith is I thought, okay, I've got to give him a chance. Like I've got to let go of David Tennant because he's definitely gone now. And I've got to give Matt Smith a chance. And somewhere in the like 4th, 5th episodes, it really hit a sweet spot for me. And I was like, no, I love his Doctor portrayal. It's really great.
The thing about Matt Smith, which I thought was good, was if you were ever going to try and convince a friend to get into Doctor Who, it's almost like they rebooted it.
Mhm.
You know, with that whole all the explanation with Amy Pond as a little girl
Yep.
and the Raggedy Man and the
Oh.
doctor, like it was like almost like that started with a clean slate in a way.
Mhm.
And it would be really easy to get somebody into this without having to explain what a sonic screwdriver is
Right.
or what a TARDIS
Yeah.
is or why it makes that noise and
Mhm.
you know, all that stuff, you know. And so I thought that that played in really nicely. And you know, how can you not love the Ponds,
No.
right? You know, and
Great.
Rory guarding the tomb for
Yep.
as the Centurion for 2,000 years. And
I will say they lost me for a minute or two when they brought in River Song and really complexified like her relationship set. With
yeah,
the
no, I
Ponds
agree.
and the doctor,
agree.
where it was like it's his wife, but their daughter, like all this stuff. I'm just like, wait, how do we wait? How does this all fit back in together? But once I kind of got my head around it, I was like, oh, that's fascinating, and I like how they played it. But it
Yeah.
definitely took a minute of, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, it's a great show. They always
So great.
keep and then Peter Capaldi, everybody hated him.
Yep.
And then by the end, it was like, don't fire him. He's the
No, he's
best. He
great
wasn't
too.
being fired. He's leaving on his own.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah.
the same the next time, I'm sure. Everybody will be like, oh no, wait, I loved Jodie Whittaker.
That's what I'm saying. It's like this weird whiplash
Yeah.
thing. Right? So
All right. Okay, I have an interesting for sure. So if you could do any live action movies, who would like what director would you like to work with the most?
well, I guess everybody'd want to work with Tarantino if they could.
Oh,
There's I don't know, Scorsese would be kind of fun to work with. Those would just be ones that you could really feel like, wow, I'm in a movie. You know, so many times you do
Yeah.
a movie and you go, I don't know if this thing's gonna go anywhere. Do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's gonna see this movie.
Mhm.
I've done a couple of those. And then you do one where people actually see it and it kind of catches on. And it's kind of like, oh, wow, that's kind of nice, you know. I mean, how many
Okay.
people do anime series and they, you know, you get one Naruto and I'm riding this sucker for for a while.
All right, that's interesting. So I want to ask you this, and I don't like asking the question, but except for your character, who's your favorite character in Naruto? Except for your own character?
I like Naruto, of course, obviously, but Rock Lee.
Mm.
Rock Lee, just because he doesn't have any bells and whistles, he doesn't have any jutsu. You know, he can do what a human can do in that.
Yeah.
series, right. He doesn't have shadow possession. He doesn't have wind, whatever, you know, destruction. He doesn't have a weird red eye. He doesn't have. He does all of this. He fights Gaara and he doesn't care. He's going to fight until he's defeated. And everybody goes, why? You're just going to get killed. I don't care. This is what we're going to do. And he does it. And he's got the best attitude of any character in all of TV.
Yeah.
Will not. He always does the right thing. He doesn't give up. He always tries hard.
Yeah.
He doesn't care if he's outmatched. He's you just gotta love that is such a good character for kids, and he's funny.
Yes, he is funny. I remember the fight by the end of the Sasuke retrieving arc when he fought Kimimaro before Gaara saved him. He used the drunken fist technique, which was something Jackie Chan did in the Drunken Master of the Universe movie. But I think that was a nice callback or like mention to that movie, which I think was really funny from Jackie Chan.
Well, he's taking Rock Lee takes all his stuff is real world stuff, right?
Yeah.
All he has is I can do the 1-inch punch or the, you know, he all his stuff is like based in what you would see in, I don't know, MMA or whatever. But that's what he's got to work with because he doesn't have the chakra to do the, you know, clone jutsus and all that. Yeah. But I think that's kind of fun too because you know, most of the audience doesn't have that either. I'll say most, maybe some do.
Right.
So as the audience, we can go, well, really, we're a lot Rock Lee, right? That's the one thing we can do. We can have a good attitude. We can get in there and try our hardest, and we can do what we can, and with the tools that we're given. And that's you know,
for sure.
I will say I did have to have a little conversation with my son about drunkenness not being funny or making you fight better.
Right. Well, there's a lot of stuff in Naruto, you know, the smoking.
Like, we kind of need to talk about this a little bit. So
yeah, for sure. what was your reaction to the ending of Naruto Shippuden? Because that was a pretty, I mean, like before the last episode, like after the Naruto versus Sasuke fight, like when like the last Shippuden episode, what was your reaction to that?
Well, the last Shippuden episode was Naruto and Hinata's wedding, I think.
Well, yeah, but that was, but I mean, like those were like the last episode, like part of the last, if I'm not mistaken. Like they were
So you're
like 2
talking
years
about
older.
before Naruto and Sasuke had their big thing? Was
Yeah,
so
I think last Shippuden episode's when Sasuke leaves and Naruto gets
Yes.
back his headband.
and then Naruto gets together with they kind of were wrapping it up. I thought it was great. I mean, it was kind of like a little insight to what the characters are going to be. That's the one thing I do like about Boruto, is you can kind of find out what happened to all these people that you followed.
Mhm.
You know, the fans used to, before Boruto came out, you know, we'd get a lot of, well, Shikamaru and Ino, or Shikamaru and, you know,
Oh yeah, we were
Chikari.
like,
Naruto's gonna marry this person, and they do all these little combinations on like everything, gender mixing, all of that stuff. And it was kind of fun to see what really happened to them. And they had kids, and Choji got married, and you know, like everybody's got a thing, and you know, it's really kind of nice to see how they turned out. You know, that is the beauty of Boruto.
yes. I'm gonna say this. When Naruto first started, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch it because I know Kishimoto didn't write anymore for the manga. I know he's back now.
He grows up.
I was like, should I watch it or not? Or exactly,
Yeah.
I was not sure. And then the tuning exam episode came out, episode 60 to 70, 68, I think, the tuning exam episodes. And then that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back, watch it over again, and then I catch up to it eventually. Because I wasn't sure to start. I was like, am I watching it now? Because it was not too interesting at the start of the show. It was a lot different from Naruto when it first started, Shippuden, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's been interesting to watch.
I mean, the thing about Boruto is it's different, right?
Yeah.
So if you look, I think there's room to love it all. Besides, they're not making new Naruto episodes, so this is what you got now.
Yeah.
If you want to follow that story, you got Boruto.
I'm going to stick with. Sarah, you'll know because we just talked about it. I'm sticking with my Doctor Who analogy that Boruto is the new Doctor. So we're like unsure. It's different from the last series we watched. Now there's this new series. It's different. I don't like it. It's not the way I want my ninjas to behave.
Not what I'm used to.
But they add just enough of the old stuff in there to kind of keep the old fans in there. You also have to remember, the show had been on for 15 years, 16 years.
Yeah.
Those kids that when I first started doing it, they're all grown up now. I mean,
like
so
somebody like me.
Anthony.
Well, it's basically like Star Trek Next Generation, right? It's this is for the next generation. But every time Star Trek Next Generation scored points, it's because they brought in Scotty, or they brought in Dr. McCoy, or they made a reference to James T. Kirk, and everybody went, "Oh my gosh!" You know.
Yeah.
So this show has that DNA of the last show, which is fantastic, but yet it's its own thing, and a whole new generation of kids can pick their new favorite characters and then go, "Why are they spending so much time on Shikadai's dad? I don't get it." Yeah.
Boring old guy.
Get through the boring stuff. Let's get to the, you know. So, you know, I think that's what's great about it. I think you'll have a whole new generation of kids that will have new favorite characters, you know? So,
Well,
I
I think you have to keep growing. And I think it's funny, while you were talking, I was just thinking, I think that maybe one of DC's biggest downfall is a lot of what they do is kind of run back through, you know, here's a Batman story that's a lot like the last Batman story, but in a cooler, with a cooler bat suit and a cooler bat car and cooler toys. Whereas I think Marvel is always progressing the story.
Correct. And the characters are changing and growing.
Start with that, I'm averse to change. I don't like his new storyline. I don't like his new outfit, or, you know, whatever. They come around to it because growth is so important in the human condition. And so I think we have to almost see it mirrored back in media, or it becomes super stagnant and we get really tired of it. And I think that's kind of the struggle with DC is they don't progress their characters heavily forward. You know, it's a lot of here's another Batman, here's another Superman. He's still got his
a similar thing to that The characters progress, but the story, the plots
Mhm.
do not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Let's go blow
Yeah,
up
the
the
last
big thing
three.
that's going to kill us.
Big
And then
thing
we'll
in the
come back
sky.
and blow up the even bigger thing that's going to kill us. Then we're going to go back and blow up the thing that's now a planet that's going to kill us.
Yeah.
You know, it's like find the thing that needs to be destroyed, blow
Yeah.
it up. You know, it's like,
Mhm.
come on, can we come up with one other plot?
I think that's
That's
why
true, like-
Mandalorian got so popular. Is Mandalorian kind of kicked off of that
Yeah. And
really
again,
familiar Star Wars trope where, you know, space cowboys go and kill the thing.
Yes.
again, a side character
Hmm.
is given his own thing,
Right.
right? And they don't have to worry about his, you know, then they can throw in a Boba Fett. They can throw in a this and a that. And it's,
Yeah.
again, there's no, if you take the second tier characters and develop those,
Yeah.
then people don't get upset when you screw them up because there's 5
Yeah.
Iron Man fans that are, you know, that's not it was in the comics.
But it's not the entire fandom who's going.
right.
That's
Because
not the way
nobody
it
else
was in the
knows.
comic.
Nobody
Yeah,
else knows,
exactly,
and
yeah.
they don't care. You know.
That's not my
So-
Batman. Oh, that's not my
Yeah.
Superman.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever be Nobody will never be Christopher Reeve's Superman. That's just no. He's always gonna be the best for sure.
Man,
He had the look.
Like, he's
for
been
sure.
there.
he did.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, the look for sure. You talk about
Well, the other part of that is we've gotten so cynical. Christopher Reeves seems so gosh gee whiz now,
Yeah.
and we've gotten so
Yeah.
cynical that we only like Superman if he's flawed and
Mhm.
can't do it all the time or
Can't
gets
have a
killed
wholesome
or he's
100%
vulnerable.
Superman.
Yeah, for sure.
It's,
Yeah.
let's go back to when we were 9 years old and Superman was truth, justice, and the American way, and always
Yeah.
made the right decision and always fought bad guys. You know, maybe that's where DC's got to get back to. I don't know.
A little more.
Yeah, I feel like you mentioned character grown, you know, and when Marvel does it and DC doesn't do it, and Star Wars didn't do it too. I think Marvel did, like, I guess it's 6 main characters, so the 6 Order Avengers. I think they built their character arcs so good. Like, I can explain Endgame, both Cap and Iron Man both finished their arc perfectly. You know, Iron Man because of himself, and then, you know, Steve, you know, pulling down the shield, whatever. But I feel like DC, they rushed it too fast. Like, they did Man of Steel 2013, and then Batman vs Superman, which was kind of, you know, really, I think, in my opinion, weak script. And then Justice League comes out the next year. I think they rushed it way too fast, and that's why people didn't like Justice League that much, because we didn't have time to spend time with those characters.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's the problem is Marvel did it, and then DC tried to replicate it, and it
Right.
looks like DC tried to replicate it instead of just trying to do something different.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
they
something
even
original.
tried to make Universal Monsters universe. You know, they were going to do Mummy and Frankenstein, and that
Oh,
just kind
yeah.
of petered out. You know, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and you know, they were going to try and tie the Invisible Man and all that stuff together, and that just sort of petered out because, you know, first of all, look, I love the superhero movies we got, but now there's too many of them.
There's a lot.
It's nice that Marvel's had
It
a
is
little
true.
break. They haven't been able to make any mistakes lately, so that's okay.
Yeah.
So, and we got some new stuff that's really new to me anyway, coming forward. The 7 Swords or whatever the Kung Fu movie that's going to be coming out.
I haven't heard of it, so I'm gonna have to look it up because
Are you thinking about Marvel?
Yeah, Marvel's.
Oh, it's
new movie.
Shang-Li and the 10 Rings.
Yeah, that's it. 10
Oh,
Rings.
okay. Yep.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
with the Mandarin in it there. The real one, I guess, because I guess they're
And then we got like Doctor Strange too. Although WandaVision was fun, and I'm loving
yes. WandaVision.
Winter Soldier and the Falcon.
Are you up to
I
date?
love the serialized method with, you know, giving you a little episode every week and kind of teasing the next. And I really like that
Yeah.
format versus just the sit down and watch a movie, and then when the movie's over, you leave. I like
Yeah.
you know, the anticipation of a weekly serial. We don't really have that much anymore in like the binge streaming days. So kind of building that anticipation of like, I can watch one show a week is really kind of neat, where you really get to wonder what's going to happen next and really think about your own ideas for the plot and what I liked about the last episode and what I hope happens. And
and make predictions for the same time.
And get to watch it and go, oh, this is exactly what I hoped for, or oh, it's not what I expected, but it's still great, or but
I find every episode ends with me going, what? That's it for
big cliffhanger every time.
Every time the credits roll, I'm like, no, I wasn't ready.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's with no teasers in the Winter Soldier and the
I know.
No little cute scenes at the end. I'm watching credits.
Are you up to date with the Winter Soldier and Falcon?
What was that?
Are you up to? Have you watched the four first episode of Winter Soldier and Falcon?
Watch for. Is there? I haven't seen any special add-on scenes in the end of the episode.
No, there's none yet. What was your reaction?
But they did it with WandaVision. They'd give you a little something.
Yeah, a little teaser. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your reaction at the end of episode 4 when Walker killed that guy with a shield, which was pretty graphic, I guess.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the first Captain America, which was they had to find the right guy to give the serum to, because whatever was in there, because he was a little guy and he threw himself on the grenade, like that's the guy you want. You don't want the guy that's gonna go out there and because that's
Bucky.
Well, Bucky didn't choose it though. Bucky didn't choose
it. Bucky wouldn't be your guy you'd want to give the serum to, because
it's almost, which is kind of cool, which is anybody that would want it, you have to be careful of, right? So that's
exactly.
So
that's interesting.
What is his name?
Well, I think
anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, all right. I mean, it's crazy to think because I've been in Naruto fans. I was like 5 or 6, and now I'm 20. It's crazy. But I remember seeing the Iron Man 1 theaters when I was 7 years old, 2008, and a year before that, I seen the third Spider-Man. You mentioned Spider-Man trilogy in the 2000s with Tobey Spider-Man, and growing up with this, and now I'm an adult now. But I'm happy because I like those when I was younger, because I can tell I grew up with those characters like Naruto, Marvel, and Star Wars, all of those, and I'm an adult now, but I feel like I would rather, being a fan younger and then grow up with it than being a fan as an adult, and you live something else. Because like Naruto, for example, for me, I always relate to Naruto, right? I think Naruto, in my opinion, has taught me so much about life, of all the small lines that they say on the show. Like, and it's like Naruto arc from him went from a nobody to the Okage by the end of Shippuden, or I guess Boruto and everything. So I think that show, in my opinion, it taught me so much about life for the past 15, 16 years since it came out. I remember watching, I think you're American, Teletoon, which is a Canadian cartoon show. I remember it was 10 o'clock at night, and I would turn the TV off like half an hour to watch Naruto. Well, I had school the next day and everything, and that's how I got into Naruto. And I think your character, again, as Tommy, I can relate to your character a lot and daily basis, honestly. I think a lot of people can. I know my brother is a big fan of the show. He said that if he would be in Naruto, he would be Shikamaru, because he's like, he reminds me a lot of himself.
I think the beauty of Naruto and that show is there are so many characters that you can basically find something in there that is reflective of what kids are going through in all, if you're a shy, timid person there, there's Hinata. If you're if you're tough and you think you're, there's like all these different characters. If you're the brooding bad boy, you're Sasuke, if you're, it's like, there's so many characters, there's so many roles that you can basically find yourself, or some, I'm a Choji, honestly, I was the little fat kid, the heavyset kid, and just always, and, somebody like Shikamaru to come along and say, hey, you're not going to call him that, and you're going to upset him. And I don't like, that's not a good way to behave. I mean, it's great. It's like, right. And it's like, we all feel those feelings, and we've all done those things.
Yeah.
The beauty of that show is there is literally something in there. There is a character you can relate to. I defy you to find somebody who goes, I can't relate to any of those characters.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many.
I'm a Naruto.
That show is my high school.
And
that's what I'm saying. I could probably take
as an adult
the yearbook I could do the yearbook of my high school and line up the characters like this is who they are.
Yeah, same. I mean, that's
Yeah.
even, I came in as an adult watching it. I've never watched it as a child. You know, I grew up with like Thundercats and Transformers and
Yeah.
those guys in the 80s.
I grew up with Scooby-Doo.
Oh my God, same honestly.
Great.
Scooby-Doo. Although it was fun. Our shows were fun. Justice League,
Mhm.
Scooby-Doo, all that Hanna-Barbera stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It was mostly like Warner Brothers and Hanna-Barbera,
Looney
like
Tunes and
Top Cat and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff. It was all fun. It was all light. It's all fluff. It was all nothing.
Rad Conker.
Now kids got Naruto. It's like a soap opera for kids.
Well,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
I mean, I can't even imagine like the shows that I liked as a kid. If you could have told me that one of them would go for like 17 years, it would have blown my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
It seemed like Scooby-Doo went for 17 years, but the plot, they only had 3 plots. So
Yeah.
who the real villain is.
nothing changed.
No.
Nothing. It
And
was
there's
But
always
it
the
works
same.
though. It works
Never
really good because
real
people
secret
keep
about
listening to it. It's just
Yeah.
a classic.
Mhm.
Honestly,
It's cute. It's
Naruto.
fun. It's popcorn. You know, that's the beauty of it. It's enjoyable. Everybody likes it. You know.
But I mean, I can watch Naruto as a working adult and still relate to it and still find things where I learn a lesson or, you know, it's kind of a comfort show for me. Like I'm
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can relate to
familiar
that.
with it. And it's one of those shows where, oh, I'm having a bad day and I just want to throw something on and kind of forget,
Mhm.
you know, real life for a minute. Naruto's a great choice because one, there's always funny moments, there's always levity, there's
Mhm.
always, you know, the familiar characters, but there's always those pieces where you go, God, that's a really great thought. Huh. And you can kind of chew on it for a little bit and think about it. And I think those are so great in anime that's more geared toward kids to be able to really look at that and experience it as an adult and go, this is still really relatable. You know, even
Yeah,
though it's
agreed.
12-year-old animated children, it's still really relatable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, look, if we're not that right now, we were that at one point. And
Sure.
you know,
Mhm.
a lot of times watching these kids going through their teenage years, it's painful because you know I lived through it. It's horrible,
Yeah.
you know, and getting picked on, and
Yeah.
you know, and just feeling like you know
Figuring out
everybody
who you
hates
are.
you or whatever. All this stuff that's going on in your head
Mhm.
that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
When I DM you first and you answer me, my girlfriend was pissed and at the same time because she owed me $100. You really think me and you giving $100, but she was feeling her figure has always been Hinata person for because she can relate. She's a striker like Hinata. I mean, she got a cat last year. She named her cat Hinata and everything, and that Hinata death scene. Well, you know, death scene against Pain. I'm gonna be honest. She cried for like an hour straight. Like she paused the episode, went to her room, and started crying. Like I mean, crying. And I didn't want to hear that she was not completely dead because I didn't want to spoil her, but I had to because she wanted to come back from crying.
Well, you know what? You gotta feel those emotions. You know, it's
exactly.
It's a good thing you didn't spoil it because it made it more impactful. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. That's a problem with this one problem I would say about the Marvel universe is nobody stays dead.
No.
So
Loki.
Watching Endgame, watching Infinity War and Endgame, and then at the end of it, you're like, wait, who's still dead? Who's still alive? Who's dead? Because some people are dead, and other people are just kind of dead, and some people were snapped. It's like it's confusing, and it loses the punch. When Iron Man finally died, I was like, well, they'll figure out a way to bring him back. I don't like that. You should feel like, oh my God, it's the end. It's like, oh, you know. So that at least in the Naruto world, if you're dead, you're dead. Although we did bring Asuma's back as a zombie. So
dude, what was your reaction to that really quick? Like, how's your reaction when they brought back Asuma and they forced him to fight Team 10? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
He's coaching us on how to defeat him, which
that's true. Yeah, I mean, you have to do that. Shoji, do that. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, exactly. Because he couldn't stop his body, but he could control his thoughts,
his mind, and his thought.
In his
mouth. What? Like
I
for you,
I do have to get going here pretty soon.
Oh, okay.
So
okay. Well,
as nice of a conversation as this is, guys, how much fun it is to do.
Well, thank you so much. Again, listen, it's literally an honor for me. I think for both Sarah and Nick too.
Definitely.
Being a fan for you for 16 years, and then you're here in front of me doing the podcast. I appreciate it so much. I will get a cameo from you really soon for my brother eventually, because he's a big fan of yours. So if you see me on camera, that'll probably be me. Thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing and keep making people laugh and smile. And honestly. And I can only see more of your work in the future, Roberto. Thank you so much for staying here. Thank you for Sarah and Nick too for staying with me today. And I really appreciate for being here.
Thank you. And if you guys need anything from me, I'm on Cameo. So feel free to check me out there. If you can follow me at The Real Tom Gibis on Instagram, that'd be great. And I can keep people updated when I'm doing signings. And there's a new Naruto Funko Pop that's coming out. Right now, there's a company called Puppeteers. And if you go to my site, it's on my bio. So at Instagram.
I'll leave you a link to the description of the YouTube video so people can find.
And I guess they sold out the first run of the Shikamaru, which is kind of nice. And so anyway, we're gonna in the month of May. I know there's a signing coming up. I can't tell you about that just yet because everything's not finalized. And there's another Funko Pop type thing that's going to happen before that. So, but all that information will be on the Instagram site, and you can follow me there. So that.
All right, well, I'll leave all your link in the description of YouTube so people can find you easily under it. So I'll put your cameo on Instagram and leave in the description of the YouTube
and I'm trying to get my numbers up, people.
Yeah, you went up really fast.
I don't want to sound too thirsty, but I want to give Miley Flanagan a run for her money.
Oh my God, yeah.
I don't know if I can get those numbers, but listen, everybody listening to this podcast, please do me a favor and just follow. It doesn't cost you.
Anthony, we'll promo this in the group, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if they allow, sure. We have.
And then it's just going to go online, and they're like, "Why is Shikamaru so thirsty? Why is he
so thirsty?"
Yeah, we have a Facebook group on Facebook, and Naruto. It has 1.2 million people. So I will put the podcast on there. So if people listen to it, you might get a lot of subscribers from this.
Get a few extra cameo people.
There we go.
Exactly.
Give Miley a run for money.
Who can get more likes? Oh yeah, pit us against each other. Who can get more likes? Miley Flanagan, Tom Gibis.
Well, thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate it so much. It was literally an honor for me to talk to you. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much,
and have a good one.
You too.
You too, man. Have a good day.
Whatever. What a drag.